Let's go over to the Peach Bowl. We have Georgia, the defending champions, and Ohio State. Right now, Georgia is a 6.5-point favorite. Before we get to any of the numbers, I do want to give you a couple of interesting stats here. I'll ask you first, Joey, what you're thinking about this game. The Bulldogs 4-0 against the spread as a 20-point or less favorite this season. 3-0 against the spread against ranked teams. They average 42 points in those games. But OSU, as an underdog in the college football playoff era, is 6-2 against the spread. So kind of some interesting numbers pulling us either way. Joey, a lot of people have said this game is a little harder to predict just because of the upside of OSU's offense. What are you thinking for this one?
Yeah, I feel like I have a pretty good read on this game. We've got a very high total for Georgia games. Georgia has an elite defense. They've had pretty much the best defense in the country this season and last season. They have 5-star recruits all over the field, first round, second round talent all over the field. I'm not sure Ohio State is going to be able to move the ball like they have all season. And Ohio State has actually been fairly inconsistent all season. Ohio State has gotten a lot of love from the polls and writers and college football analysts, but really they've had a mediocre season by their standpoints. They haven't blown out a lot of opponents. They've played fairly bad against the better opponents. We saw them get blown out by Michigan. But I'm going to roll with the under in this game at under 62 or 62.5 at whatever number you can get. I do not see Ohio State racking up a lot of points on this Georgia defense. CJ Stroud is a very good quarterback, but he lacks the running ability to escape the pocket and create with his legs. He just hasn't done it all season. He was unable to do it against Michigan, and I think that was his downfall this year and last year as well. And UGA is a very deliberate offense. They love to run the ball. They love to establish the run. They do have big plays, but it comes within the flow of their offense. They take what the defense will give them. I think Ohio State is going to try to keep everything in front of them and make Georgia go down the field on long 10, 11-play scoring drives. So I think the under 62 or 62.5 is a great look for this game.
Yeah, you mentioned just the ability to get out of the pocket and make plays. Not exactly a hot take here, but both these teams have looked really good when they can keep clean pockets, and it's mostly been a clean pocket for both of these guys all season. Alex, what about you? What are you thinking here? Spread, total, money line? Where are you rocking?
No, I see this just like Joe. I like the under as well. Obviously, like it a half point more at 62.5 than at 62, but feel pretty good about it at either of those numbers. And I think what you're saying about pocket presence and about quarterbacks being comfortable in clean pockets, I think could also come into play in this game. If it gets a little bit shootout-y, obviously that wouldn't be what we want when we have the under, but I think even in that event, that's not really Stetson Bennett's bag, the Georgia quarterback. He's had a fantastic run there. I'm no longer in the business of doubting this guy, but a shootout that gets into somewhere in the mid-20s with some, third, fourth quarter touchdown trading drives from these teams, I think could also become something that comes to a halt when someone throws an interception. Or when these offenses just kind of slow down, because Ohio State is a little bit more geared to play that way than Georgia is. But the biggest reason that I see it like Joe does is that I don't want to overcomplicate it. It's just Georgia's defense, and we all know what they are. And they might have a couple fewer guys this year than last who really horrify you as an offensive coordinator when you look on the tape. Last year, say maybe they had 3, 4. This year it's Jalen Carter and company, the excellent defensive tackle that they have. But I just think that, again, like we look at the paths, the different outcomes that this game could take, the different shapes of it. And all of the likeliest ones are that Georgia's defense really makes this tough on Ohio State's offense. And that's all due respect to CJ Stroud, who's going to have a great NFL career and has had a really good college career. Certainly to Marvin Harrison Jr., I think the best college receiver I've seen in quite some time. But they're going up against a defense that does not give up points. And I just think that we don't need to overthink it when we look at the capabilities of a Kirby Smart coached Georgia defense with 3.5 weeks to prepare. I'm going to pick with the defense in that game. And the reason that I go under instead of Georgia spread is that I suspect that Ohio State's defense might come to play as well.